Hey there, Nancy here. And today I'm going to be talking about the systems, right? A lot of coaches and consultants are using to really scale in 2026. And what I'll say is business looks very, very different, than it did 3, 4, even 5 years ago. And the thing is, we went through this huge flux, right, as entrepreneurs years ago, where it was hustle, 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 let's work 12 plus hour days, let's work through the weekends. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, right? Especially, as you're building your business early on. This is legit. But the thing is there are so many solutions and ways that we can actually protect our energy and work not only smarter, but we can really, really make running our business so much more enjoyable. And so I want to talk about some of those systems that we can implement in our business. And it's actually really like perfect timing because I'm actually rereading, the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. And, that book is really, really great because it talks about how having systems and having routines in your business and even just in life, right? That's how things get done. It's little things over time that really, really add up. But I'm not only going to hone in, right, on routines, it's making sure that we know the tools that we have available to really streamline things and be able, right, to work more effectively as we, proceed into 2026, right? It's already, the fourth week of January, which is just wild. But we're super excited, and we've got so many wonderful things going on in business, and we're just super, super excited for the growth that's happening. So, here's what we've learned, right? After working with thousands at this point of service professionals, scaling doesn't necessarily have to require more hours, right? It doesn't even have to require more hiring, and it doesn't have to require a reduction, on your margin overall. And the thing is we've seen many coaches and consultants build 6, 7-figure businesses and up that are just really, really focusing on honing in on their infrastructure and making sure that they have certain things in place. So, I want to talk about the 3 core systems that really drive business growth. Okay. So, these are the things that are working, we've seen working. And, not only that, we know that in the new year, right, it's going to be kind of the way of doing business, right? It's going to be the big focus. So, the one thing that is going to set you apart, right? So the system number one is using AI as a strategic partner, not just a content generator. And what I mean by this is, instead of just using it to put together content or, create like, little one-off pieces of copy for your business, you can actually use it a lot more strategically. And a lot of the coaches that are using it effectively are using it for things like, fine-tuning your operations, right? Your client delivery workflows, mapping out, right, your client journey from onboarding to offboarding, creating repeatable processes you can delegate or automate. The fact that we're able to go into a program like Gemini or ChatGPT and we're able to type in, I want to map out, some of the workflows that I'm currently doing. And you can go through these things and do it with the click of a button is so mind-blowing to me because these are the things that I used to help businesses with, behind the scenes. I did a lot of like OBM style, online project management, things like that. And this stuff used to take a really long time. You'd have to go through, you'd have to document, you'd shoot videos, you'd have to, do all these different steps. And, we're able to have help with AI, being able to bring things together. So one thing that you can do again is to map out your client delivery workflows, some of the operational. Also, think about your follow-up systems. We talk about this all the time that, it's not just about booking calls and talking to people. As coaches and consultants, a lot of times we really need to focus on our follow-up systems because, especially now, right, buying process is changing, right? And how buyers are currently acting, right? People are taking a lot more time to make high ticket purchases. People are having to have multiple touch points, more than ever, right? They need that time to kind of think through things, really look at it from all angles, and then, feel really good and that they trust the decision that they're going to make. So, follow-up systems can be really important putting in your business because, for so many reasons, right? We need those touch points. So use AI to actually generate nurture sequences. This could be email or messaging. You could also have it, again, map out some of these follow-up systems in the different platforms and programs that you use, and so much more. So that's another really great way to use AI. The other thing that you can use it for is to really help with decision-making support. Okay. So what I mean there is, planning out quarterly topics for content, or maybe, organizing your marketing calendar, what you're going to be focusing on. AI can help you analyze some of that information and help make suggestions that are strategic, right, to help you on those next steps. So it's not just about like replacing, your thinking. It's about clearing the mental clutter so that you can really focus on leading your business. And again, it's using AI to help with some of that. So that's the first system. Just a really quick overview that, this year, so our Expert Authority Mastermind program, which the doors are open this week, just for a few more days. And we only open it a couple times a year. And what I'll tell you is we always, every year, right, try to add additional resources, information. We call it kind of a group coaching and one-on-one hybrid. We do a little bit of everything. We do coaching calls. We have a whole portal. But one thing that I actually started working on in the training portal is updating a whole training for AI powered offers, right? These are things that you can do in your business and actually offer as an upsell to your clients by using AI tools, right? So we stay up to date with some of those things. Also building a community, how do we run a community? How do we build a community from the ground up? Those are some trainings, just again, giving you a sneak peek. Having clear and defined offers. But a lot of these things, right? We can use AI, and we've got a lot of tools in place to be able to do this quickly. So if you do not currently have an AI system in your business, take a look at that and see how you can best use AI. System number two is templates that eliminate decision fatigue. So I'm a huge fan of templates. I've got folders, in every single business that we have with templates that I use. These could be, KPI templates with key performance indicators. We could have, different templates for, how we, do different things with clients. Like, even like when we host webinars, I've got a whole template on, how to actually, map out the webinar, how many people you need to add, all kinds of different things there. Got templates for pricing and structure and things like that. So if you have anything, in your business, maybe it is a process like, onboarding a new client, or, writing a sales email, or planning your week, or things like that, right? Things that you're starting from scratch on usually, things that take energy, right? Sometimes cause a little decision fatigue. Well, think through those things and think, you know, can I create maybe an onboarding checklist? Can I create a weekly sales process template? Can I create an email sequence bank? Can I create a process and a template for onboarding new team members quickly? So think about those little templates that you can insert in your business that can really streamline and help. In the program, I actually share a lot of templates. We've got webinar templates, we've got lead magnet templates, we've got all kinds of templates and tools, even a pricing template where you can, map out your pricing for group coaching programs, for example. So we've got a lot of templates that we actually give our clients in the program. But think about those things, right? That you need in your business. And once you create the templates, you can hand them off sometimes to other people, or you can automate them. So keeping your business moving forward, having templates in place, that really helps remove some of that decision fatigue, that energy that goes into kind of creating things from scratch, and can really be epic. The next system, right? So system three is creating a growth infrastructure that really works while you're not always involved. Okay. And this is where most coaches and consultants get stuck. Okay. A lot of people rely too much energy, and they drop the ball in other areas, right? They're not actively, you know, doing certain things at all times. And, things don't happen. So, for example, if you're not actively posting, pitching, networking, right, like nothing happens, and revenue stops when you stop. But the thing is, in order to be successful, right, the coaches that actually scale, are the ones that build the infrastructure and the system to convert leads and grow your business in ways when you're not always there. And part of this is, a lead capture system that's creating lead magnets and opt-ins so that you can collect information, no matter if you're online or not, right? This is something that's evergreen and just happening all the time. And then also creating email nurture sequences behind that, right? These could be email workflows that really nurture your peeps. They help move prospects closer to a sales conversation without you having to, interact personally with each message. So setting up some basic things like that, in a sales funnel, for example, again, we've got the lead magnet, the email sequence. That can be epic. That can be really helpful as you scale. In fact, Donald Miller, the book, I highly recommend checking it out. It's called Marketing Made Simple. Donald talks about, the key assets of a sales funnel. And again, that's it. It's website. Well, actually, it's offer, website, lead magnet, and an email sequence, right? So that's what we're talking about here. And that becomes your sales, monster, your sales machine, the thing that you can feed. The other thing to think about too, if you don't have currently in place, is, a streamlined booking process. Make it very simple for people to book sales calls with you. We talk about this a lot. In fact, I talk about this with Scott, is we have audited so many client profiles and we realize right away, oh my goodness, I don't know how you even hire this person, right? Like, what's their website? What's the next step? Like, it's not clear, and again, Donald Miller also says this, don't make people burn calories trying to figure out how to work with you. So make sure that you have an easy, clear way for people to work with you, or an easy, clear way for people to book calls with you. Doing this on LinkedIn, you can simply add your featured section, your link, right, to book a call, which could link directly to your electronic scheduler. So eliminate the back and forth, right? That's a huge system, upgrade there if you get that put into place. And the thing is you want things to work when you're not always there. So that's the whole point, is we really need to focus on scaling. And so really, really digging in. And I want to give you guys some like actionable takeaways, right? This is, these are a few little exercises that you can do to implement some of these things. And so, for example, week one, you could actually go through, and I highly recommend just auditing what's going on in your business, right? Audit your current processes. Where are you starting from scratch every time? What's taking the most mental energy? I love the red, yellow, green meetings. I call them the stoplight meetings. What's going well, what needs work, and what do we need to stop doing? And so week one, you can really block out some time on your calendar to audit those current processes. Guys, this is something we do every single year. In fact, every quarter, we also do this. We do big planning meetings. And auditing and identifying where we've got hiccups can just be such a game changer to make running your business so much better, because you can obviously address those issues. Now, week two would be then to choose one system to build first. Okay, so most coaches and consultants actually start with like the onboarding experience for clients, because it has immediate impact and it creates a professional experience. So, for example of this, right, in my agency back when I had first started, I was just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. And whenever I would onboard clients, I would have to start from scratch every single time, meaning I was handwriting, the welcome email, I was handwriting the next steps. And I was thinking in my head, well, I'm not bringing on hundreds of clients. Like, it's going to be like maybe 5 to 10 at a time. So I don't know that I need to automate. Yes. Okay. It was a big deal whenever I actually sat down and I mapped out my client onboarding process and I identified what I wanted that to look like. That changed the game in so many ways, right? Because now I've got a template I can click, takes 2 seconds, right? I even have a whole automated workflow that I use in Dubsado. People can be hired. There's a whole sequence that goes out. I know they get that white glove experience. They get everything that they need. It's a very clear next steps and it feels very professional. So I think that's a really good one to automate, and a really good system to automate first if you have not done so already. Remember, guys, you can use AI to do this, right? Ask it questions like, here's my current process, or here's what I do. Can you actually help me go through and, create a client onboarding process? Now, week three, if you're going to take action on these, is to create your templates. All right. This could be a Notion dashboard. It could be a ClickUp pipeline. It could be a Google Doc checklist. You could organize it in Trello. Whatever tool you want to use that works best for you, that's fine. I like to make Google Docs a lot and kind of keep them organized in my folder, but I do put them different places where they are applicable, right? So in our ClickUp or, project management tool, of course, we'll link to different things there so that it's very clear what everyone has to do. So create your templates. Make sure that you go through and again, just start pulling things off your plate that you're starting from scratch. I mentioned like that welcome email as an example, which many don't know that you can actually create templates for your emails, even in Google, like Gmail. You just go in your settings and under the advanced setting, you just toggle on that you can create templates. And it's so, so cool. And it's so, so useful because, whether it's an automated response, whether you guys have hired a team and they're stepping in to help, with things, you can have some canned emails that are already templated. So just a little hack there. And then week 4 is to test and refine, right? Run your new system with one client, adjust what doesn't flow smoothly. And then the next month we can rinse and repeat. Right. So you can go through each one. So, Rome wasn't built in a day. We can chip away slowly at different things. We can start to implement repeatable systems and different things like that. The thing is I want you guys to get away from that mindset that, I need to buy all these software subscriptions. I need to completely rebuild my business, or, I need to spend months and months and months, trying to plan this out. The thing is we see most coaches and consultants who scale their businesses and we see their growth, really go in the upward direction. They usually start with small changes, right? Little things like we talked about here, and they implement them quickly and it builds that momentum through action. So I really just want to get you guys out of that manual mode. Stop the decision fatigue, stop doing things, repetitively that is just draining your energy. And we really want to, again, focus on scaling in the simplest ways possible. So hopefully, this episode was helpful. Just so you guys know, our Expert Authority Mastermind doors are open, right? But just for a few more days. If you guys are interested in joining a mastermind, and guys, this is like, I'm just shooting off the cuff here. Like, I love this program. It is what we always wish existed when we were building and scaling and growing our business. In fact, Scott and I were at that point in our business as coaches and consultants. We were bringing in steady income. We kind of were at capacity with client workload. And we were wondering, how in the heck do you scale this business? How do you earn reoccurring income? How do we have consistency? And how are we able to forecast and, hire and budget, when things are always a little fuzzy? Well, that's exactly what we figured out. We hired coaches, we were parts of masterminds, and then we created this mastermind over 6 years ago at this point. And we've been helping, like I said, we've helped so many coaches, consultants, service professionals. We work with a lot of seasoned professionals. These are people who have either, have been running, their own businesses for 20 plus, 30 plus years already. And they're looking for ways to kind of get up to speed, whether it be tech updates. Again, we have a huge focus on AI. We stay ahead of the curve and we teach our members everything they need to know. Whether they want to get up to date and, really plug in there, whether they want to scale, right? Because they've hit that plateau and they're looking to get to the next level. Maybe they want to add on additional services or build a community, right? That's something big that we're really focusing on in this upcoming year with our members. But, we also have people who are in full-time or even part-time expert positions, and they have been for years. They know that they have skills and abilities and can help so many people, in their area of focus. Even just using an example, an HR who wants to become a fractional HR, for other businesses and start a consulting practice. We have helped people do just that. In fact, some of our most amazing, clients and members have had full-time positions before. We've had attorneys that have actually quit, being attorneys and gone full-time, in their side hustle, building their coaching and consulting practices. We've had, people who have just had budding businesses, meaning they were growing, they were bringing in some significant income, but they just didn't know how to click into that next level to really scale. And so we're so excited about this program. I love it so much. It's called Expert Authority. If you want to learn more, you can check it out at thetimetogrow.com. Check it out under our programs and just click on Expert Authority and you can learn more. If you would like to apply or book a call, it's with Scott and me, or, it'll just be with Scott or myself. But we'd love to talk through and see if it is a good fit for what you're doing and you're looking to achieve in the year ahead. So have a great day.